Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another post-match review. Obviously, a little later than normal. I apologize for that on my end. I was coming back from visiting a friend today. As always, if you want to follow me on Twitter, my handle is right by my name here. And as always, I am joined by Irish Tommy. How you feeling today, mate?
Very, very good. Irish Tommy, aka Bowen the Goat.
Oh yes, 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 yes,
So you're all feeling great, man. It's about time, Chris.
yes.
It's about time. You and I haven't. This is the first for us, I believe.
This is so I went back and looked. This is our eighth show, one of which you were unable to be on. But eight.
Yeah,
This is the eighth show since we've brought back the post match reactions. This is the first one where we're actually positive because of a win. Like the other match we were positive because it was Liverpool, obviously, but
yeah,
this one we actually know what it feels like to get 3 points again.
yeah. It's overdue. First win since New Year's Day. So
Two
badly needed.
Almost 2 months we've gone
Yeah,
without a win, which is nuts.
yeah, yeah. And it was a game that we had to win. So
Yeah.
it was a huge one, and obviously we're all waiting with bated breath to see what kind of side Moyes was going to put out.
And
The and there was X was kind of leaking some stuff a little early on, which was positive. He seemed very happy. He leaked a little bit early that Bowen was going to start, and
yeah,
also that Fornells was going to start, that Ngakia was going to start, and that he was also happy with the formation, that it wasn't going to be wing backs and all that. So kind
that
of before the team was officially released, an hour before kickoff, we all kind of knew, okay, this is going to be a good-looking team.
yeah,
And a positive one. So, and that's how it panned out. Like say, Ngakia started, it was a flat back four. He stuck same back four. He brought Fornells in, brought Haller back in, um, and Bowen started, which obviously for me, I'm a total stan, right? I've
yes.
been harking on about Jared
Well,
Bowen for months and months. That this is a guy we would want to sign. That he's going to score goals, and then, obviously you all know I was elated when we signed him, and then I was absolutely buzzing when I found out today he was going to make his first start for the team. And I tweeted
I was gonna say,
I tweeted before I actually knew he was going to start that if Bowen starts today, he will score.
what did they do? Sure enough.
Took him all of 10 minutes, my friend.
Oh boy, I couldn't get over that. I will say, Moyes hit the nail on the head with that lineup. I don't think that we could have asked for a better lineup. Noble maybe switching Noble in or someone else in for Noble maybe, but even then it was still a fine pick.
Yeah, it was what we've all been harking on about for a long time. About getting Fornals in there, starting Gakia, and finally, I think the penny dropped. It
Yep.
seems that the penny has dropped. Moyes, the negativity is not going to get survival. Um, Hi, Katie, how are you? Um, so yeah, listen, negativity is not going to get us out of the shit we're in. So I do think the penny has dropped for him. Um, we saw a Liverpool game when he put out a positive formation. We were very unlucky not to get something out of that. And he went with it again today, even more so, I think, today. Starting Bowen, starting Fornell, starting Haller. Um, and it was great to see. And listen, the players responded. The players responded to the positivity of the formation and the positivity of the lineup. Um, Obviously, when you have players that have been dropped and feel like they should be on the pitch, people like Haller, Bowen, Fornells, they come in with something to prove, for different reasons.
Yeah.
Bowen just to prove that he deserves to be in that company, that he belongs at that level, and that he should be starting the next game. And he absolutely did that. And Fornells too, following up on a really good substitute appearance away to Liverpool. He followed that up with another really good performance there, two assists,
Yeah.
um, and two beautiful balls through. Like the first one through for Bowen's goal, defense splitting pass,
Yeah.
absolutely inch perfect, weighted it beautifully. Bowen only just had to take a nice easy touch and then finish. And then that little lob over the top of the defender for Antonio to run onto the score was an absolute thing of beauty.
So one other positive thing that we need to mention too. We're out of the relegation zone.
The heady heights of 16th.
I'll take anything at this point. Everything is good in the at the moment right now for me. I'm very happy. I don't think it could have gone away. I know some people were mad. Obviously, massive Liverpool loss as well, but that unfortunately favored Watford. Doesn't necessarily favor us, but we're still out of the relegation zone. I don't care at this point now.
Yeah, look, the main thing is we got the win and we got ourselves, like I say, out of the drop zone. So that's a start, that's a start. We can hopefully go forward from here. But, I haven't really had much to say about Moyes that was particularly nice or kind. And it's not to say that I've completely flipped on today's result, right? But you do have to give credit where it's due. Just as regards today, he got it absolutely spot on. Absolutely spot on. And you have to give him credit for that,
Yeah.
I believe in being fair with people. I know sometimes people, you just take a dislike to someone and you can have a hardened view about them and you hate giving them credit or because you feel like you've been proven wrong in some way. But I'm not one of those. I have no problem. I will have absolutely no problem if Moyes proves me completely wrong and turns out to be, a decent manager going forward. I hope he does, because we all want West Ham to do well. We all want the club to be successful, and that means we need Moyes to be successful right now. So credit where it's due to him. He got it absolutely right today. So fair play to him.
Yeah, and that's the big thing I hope that we take away from this match as well, is that we finally have a strong side. Like we know what positions, which I was finding funny at the beginning because the way that they showed the lineup, how it worked, was the exact kind of style that Pellegrini was playing.
That's what Pellegrini was supposed to be doing. He's supposed to be this attacking coach, and we were supposed to be scoring 3 goals and getting after teams, and he just, whatever happened to him, he just became just ultra conservative, and our style was like boring and negative, and so I don't know what the hell happened to Pellegrini there, but and Moyes is this kind of dour defensive coach who tries to eke out results, flipped it on its head today, and I hope now the penny has dropped.
Yeah.
For Moyes, I hope he realizes now, okay, this is the way forward. Because look, we go to the Emirates in our next game, away to Arsenal. Okay. He has to resist the urge to revert to type because it's an away game or because it's Arsenal, London derby, big T. Still a big club, Arsenal, still a big game, despite their league position. I hope he remains brave, remains positive, sticks with the players that got him that result today, and let's fucking go and have a go at Arsenal. Absolutely no reason we can't go there and have a pop at these guys.
Following the Liverpool match earlier this week, there was 2 big takeaways too from it. First of all, we were worried that we were hedging our bets on this one match, and that it was going to start like our season was in essence going to start from this game forward. And fair play to him. He played it well. I think that even though it was a loss, that Liverpool match really got morale and confidence soaring. And the other thing we talked about is if we play with that intensity and that kind of effort that we did against Liverpool every match of this season, we'll have no issue staying up. And that's exactly what I saw today. It was just nothing but intensity and just willpower.
Yeah, if nothing else, one quick glance at the Premier League table will tell him, that we've got to keep going, got to keep pushing, got to stay positive, and go out and really try to win every game that we play. You can't rely on, like I said before, you can't just pick and choose games you're targeting for wins, because then you find yourself coming up short. You say, okay, we'll target this particular game and try and get a win there, and then something goes wrong and you lose the bloody thing. and then you're behind the ball. So try and win every game, and it should be the same going away to Arsenal. I hope he does that, because you look at the bottom of the Premier League table, very condensed. If we lose at Arsenal, we can find ourselves right back where we started.
Yeah, I'm looking at the table right now. From 15th to 20th place, it's only a separation of 7 points.
Yeah, and we're still only barely outside the relegation zone. Watford had an unbelievable result this evening.
Yeah, I mean that. I don't know what the hell happened. I think too many kinks were exposed in their Liverpool's armor. But this is West Ham, so
yeah.
Let's get and one thing I was just thinking about too. Where does Anderson slot in now? Because I don't see where he fits in anywhere.
After today, he remains on the bench.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I'm not advocating for him just to be dropped altogether and sold in the summer or anything like that. But with performances like that from Bowen on the right and Fornals on the left, I mean, there's really not too much space for him anymore, or at least right now.
I mean, yeah, realistically, from today, in midfield, who would you drop just so you could fit Anderson in there? Nobody. I mean, look, Anderson isn't. You can't put Anderson in where Rice or Noble are. I don't think he can do that job. He's too much of a coward to put tackles in or to get stuck in the midfield. So you can't put him where Rice or Noble are. Fornals was fantastic, 2 assists. He came off the bench against Liverpool and scored. So if it's a choice between Anderson and Fornals, it's a no-brainer. Anderson can take his seat on the bench, I'm afraid. And I have no problem with that, frankly. Anderson's been poor all season. So, it might be no harm. Yeah. Anderson, maybe Anderson is best used coming off the bench in the last 15 minutes, against tiring defenders and midfielders. With his pace and trickery, maybe then he can actually do something positive. Maybe. I wouldn't even trust him to do that, to be honest with you, Chris. And I think as well, another positive, I think Yarmolenko was very close. As far as I'm aware, he'll be available for selection for the Arsenal game.
Yeah.
So that's great news as well. It's just a pity about Souček. That's the big question. I think if anything, Noble would be looking over his shoulder once Souček comes back. Because the only player you would drop out of there, to put Souček in really is Noble.
Yeah. I mean, you can't.
But that's fine. That's fine. I mean, can you imagine, that strengthens us again. Can you imagine if you take that team today and you take Noble out and drop Souček in there? I mean, geez, that's a really good side.
I mean, yeah, I'm thinking on it now. I mean, literally, I'm just going off the top of my head. But if you drop Noble for Souček, I believe that the oldest player on the pitch is the goalkeeper in Fabianski. So we've got a youthful side.
Yeah, we do. And as you saw today, I mean, they're capable of a lot. If you get the right formation, you get the right players out there, and you give them the freedom to go and get after their opponents. There's goals there.
Yeah.
There's goals there. We created loads of chances. We could have scored 5, easy. No problem. Antonio almost scored a second.
Yeah.
And there was before the opener, I think only a couple of minutes before Bowen opened his account, we were through as well on goal. And Bowen had made a beautiful run down that inside right channel. And Antonio just needed to just play the ball out in front of him so he could run onto it and shoot. But he played it a bit too far to the right. And Bowen had to take a couple of touches just to get it under control. By the time he got the shot off, defender had come across and was able to block the shot for a corner. So, it's a pity about that pass from Antonio there. I was kind of, because you know how I love Bowen, right? So, and I really wanted him to do well and score in his debut. I wanted to be vindicated about this guy because I've been rattling on about him for so long.
Yeah.
But, so I was a bit pissed off with Antonio for that pass. But lo and behold, Fornells nailed his through ball after, and you saw again the instincts of Bowen when he's running through. The runs he makes are brilliant. You see, that was another run like he did against Liverpool where he almost scored, where he runs in between the centre backs or the full back and the centre back. He gets into those little gaps and is always looking for those balls played through. And thankfully, Fornells played an absolutely perfect through ball for him. Took one touch to set it, and as the keeper came out and kind of went to ground, he just dinked it over the keeper beautifully into the far post, just inside the far post. And I was absolutely delighted for him.
I mean,
and he's exactly what we need. You can see the quality of him, Chris.
Yeah, I absolutely. I think I think that effort at Liverpool really pushed him to the top, and I think that Moyes rewarded him with the spot today, seeing how he could do, and he's here to stay now. I don't think there's no feasible way you can drop him after that.
All-round game, I thought today was fantastic. You know, up and down, he has. He was helping out in Ngakia, and you know, I thought his debuts go better than that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
obviously there were a lot of other notable performances too.
Yeah. Let's actually move on to another one. Foshizi just actually brought up Aller. I mean, I've been known to kind of take shots at him as of late, just because I haven't thought that he's been performing up to standard. But I cannot really slate him tonight. I think that he showed a different kind of determination. I don't think we've seen this season. The determination, sticking with it, fighting against the goalkeeper for his score, was incredible. I also didn't know exactly what happened at first, but I was very for him.
Yeah, I think because, you know, we weren't for a lot of the season. He was isolated. I do think he got. He looked out there games like a dead horse, you know, trying to win the game. His head dropped. I think he gets lucky, but you could see the difference today when he had and Antonio Fornells getting around him, where he felt like he was really part of the team, part of the performance. It was all linking up nicely, and he was, you know, he was really involved in it today, and you could see it really perked him up. His attitude today, you could see he was enjoying it. I think he looked like he was really enjoying it, I thought, and he was getting stuck in because he felt like there was something to gain from getting stuck in today. He felt obviously that because he had the link-up play was there, and because he had that support in the final third, that he felt there was something there from that he could. This was the kind of game where he could score a goal, and he lit up. And I mean, the proof of that was that ridiculous Rabona pass that he hit to put Antonio through on goal. You know, that's a player who's enjoying his game and who's enjoying the performance, and who's really kind of psychologically kind of in the game and involved. And so, yeah, I mean, look, if that's how we're going to play, then Haller will absolutely be an asset because he will score goals.
Yeah, and one of the other things too is, especially when Souček comes back, you think about how many big men we have throughout the entire pitch. I mean, corners are going to be a lot easier. That was one thing I was actually very happy with too. I'll bring it up that most of our goals came from open play and not just set pieces or corners today. So I was very happy with that.
Yeah. Even without Snoddy, you know, Snoddy usually is the guy that puts in the great deliveries and stuff like that. So, but yeah, we looked dangerous from set pieces. We definitely made them uncomfortable. Haller almost scored from one. Unfortunately, his header went straight to the keeper. But yeah, it's good to see because it definitely helps if you're multi-dimensional. You know, you don't want to be a one-trick pony as a team, kind of only having one real way to score, because opponents can just factor that into their tactics and try and shut that down. It's good that we look dangerous from open play. That we were able at times to move the ball through the centre. Other times we had very good wing play, both sides, where we were getting crosses in and causing problems there. And as you say, from corners particularly as well, there's some good deliveries coming in. Like say, we've got big guys in there who can really attack the ball. So it's good to have multiple threats, and I think that would be important for us going forward.
Yeah. So I actually also wanted to ask you about this too, because I was just thinking a little bit about it. Did the protests outside affect the performance in any way?
Well, if they did, we need to protest more often, to be honest.
Fair enough.
Bigger and better every time, if that's what we're going to get at the end of it. Listen, there's all this rubbish from some former players, talking about, oh, get behind the team, get behind the players, as if, the suggestion being that these protests are going to upset the players somehow, performances. To be fair, us fans, I think we knew from the off that was an absolute pile of rubbish.
Yeah.
I mean, that was never going to fly with us. That's slimy shit, to be saying. It just feels like board shilling, frankly. These people are shilling for the board. They're trying to head off protests, trying to maybe convince a certain number of people maybe to not attend the protests. They're trying to kind of sway some people. So it's not going to work. It didn't work. And all this talk about, upsetting the players and clearly blown completely out of the water. It's at the point, given that there was a really big protest, peaceful, completely peaceful, and before the game, protest, and then fans all went into the ground, supported the team brilliantly for 90 minutes, and the team played great and had a really good win, scored 3 goals, could have scored another 3. It would be ridiculous for any former player or anyone else to come out and say something like that again, because this will be thrown right back in their face.
Yeah, because like you said it best. If that's how we perform with the protest every game, every single game. Because in the 2 games that we protest, we've nearly upended Liverpool, and we had one of if not our best performances of the season at home at the crucial time that we needed it. I think that the estimates said that I've seen anywhere from 7,000 to 13,000 people who protested. So, I mean, that's no small number either.
No, to say exactly what estimate, but clearly there was an awful lot more people than there would. It was a very well attended protest. We'll get but again, West Ham fans did us proud. They went out in numbers to that protest, and they were behaved. There was absolutely no trouble. There was nobody messing about, doing things they shouldn't be doing. Kind of giving the protest itself a bad name, because there's people that just cannot wait to jump on it. If there's some small little group, even could be tiny, start fucking about, doing stupid shit, causing problems, damaging property or something like that, or getting involved in fighting or anything like that. The whole protest will be just kind of destroyed in the press. It'll be it's all these bloody West Ham troublemakers and hooligans. It's all they are. They're just there for trouble. So kudos to all the fans that turned up there today. They behaved absolutely impeccably, and it gives the detractors absolutely nothing to go on. And then the performance, of the team and the result means that, the protests now you basically can't say anything negative about them and be taken seriously.
Yeah, I mean this kind of shut up the critics. Excuse me. So I kind of want to pivot now, and I do want to ask you, Where do we go from here? Obviously, we have Arsenal next Saturday away. Then the following Sunday, home to Wolves. Then the next match is away to Tottenham, followed by home to Chelsea. So we're hitting our four toughest games or stretch of the season. How many points do you think we can get? How well do you think we'll do?
I'm going to assume here that Moyes is going to stick with more or less the team that played today, because I mean you just don't drop people from that side, and he's going to remain positive and go out and try and win those games. There are none of those four teams that you mentioned that I would be particularly fearful of. Listen, Arsenal are in 10th. They're not having a great season. There's absolutely no reason we can't go there and get something, whether it's a win or a draw. No reason. Like, Arsenal are not world beaters by any means.
No,
they're just not.
So
if I'm quite optimistic that if we maintain today's attitude and maintain the formation, David Moyes can't lose these bollocks now. He has to go away to Arsenal and say, right, we're going to go and we're going to play the same way we did at home, Southampton, and we're going to come at you and we're going to try and outscore you and get something out of this game. And if he does that, there's no reason we can't get something there. No particular reason to be afraid of Arsenal. And I would say exactly the same about Tottenham, Chelsea, Wolves. So they're good sides. Yeah, but they're not great sides.
Let me read off where they're sitting at. Chelsea's sitting in 4th. Last match they drew. Tottenham sitting in 6th. Their last 5 matches, they're 3-1-1. Wolves are sitting in 8th, and their last 5 are 2-1. And then Arsenal sitting in 10th. Their last 5 matches are 2-3-0. So they're unbeaten in the Premier League in their last 5.
Yeah, look, they're all top half teams, and I would never suggest these games would be easy in any way. They won't be easy games by any stretch of the imagination. But again, I wouldn't be terrified of any of those sides. Chelsea are the highest placed in 4th, and they really blow hot and cold. They can be very good on their day. Chelsea, if it clicks for them, and obviously, but we're at home in that one. And if they're not at their best, and if they're having one of their days where they're not really at it, there's points there for us, So, and the same with Wolves. Wolves actually might be the toughest one of the lot. If we go to Molineux, is that right?
Let me double check here.
I think we're we're away to Tottenham and Arsenal, and we're at home to Wolves and Chelsea, right? Yeah, so we're at home, I would say, against Wolves and Chelsea, which makes those winnable.
Yeah.
Right, the fact that we're at home. And then away to Arsenal, wouldn't be terrified of that, frankly. Away to Tottenham, we have a rather nice habit of picking things up there.
Yeah.
So, we always, for some reason, we always seem to turn up against Tottenham. So again, it's a difficult game, of course, and we might lose it, but I think, we stick with the attitude we have, stay positive, get after them, see what we can get. And it's entirely possible we may get more out of those 4 games than we would have thought, a couple of weeks ago. A couple of weeks ago, it was all doom and gloom. We're thinking, geez, we're going to lose all those games, after the City game, because we thought Moyes is just, is not even going to put a team out that can compete. But this completely flipped, after the last 2 games. Like I say, I think the penny has dropped for Moyes, and I think there's more reason for optimism now.
Yeah. For me personally, I think that the only true game that I would be somewhat worried about is Chelsea, but it's for the reason being that we had beaten them earlier in the season at their place. So I'm I feel like they'd come in with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, like, all right, we're gonna get our revenge here right now. So that's where I'm a little bit fearful on that one, but that's the only reason being. I mean, recent results aside, I mean, who knows? I mean, we could end up being all four. As Foshizi, I can never pronounce your name, by the way. Pointed out, Spurs really don't have any strikers at the moment. Kane's is still injured. Son's going to be injured. I don't know. I don't know who they're going to put up top against us.
Yeah, I watched their last game, Tottenham. I wasn't impressed. You know,
I mean,
can't remember who it was they were playing, but I actually tweeted. No, obviously it was a bit tongue in cheek because we like to take the piss out of Tottenham. But
yeah.
I actually tweeted that Tottenham without Son, Kane, and Ericsson are basically Crystal Palace. You know, a lot of their attacking threat is gone, and Dele Alli is overrated. I think he's a waster. Can't stand the guy.
He had like a few good months, and that was it.
Yeah, when he first went there, he looked great. Like, I guess he had that enthusiasm like Bowen had today, right? To prove himself and to make it at the top level. But Dele Alli for quite a while now has been poor. So yeah, I wouldn't be that fearful of Tottenham. I don't think they're that great. And Mourinho anyway is quite defensive minded. So I don't see us at any point in that game being overrun. No. I don't think they're not going to come at us in wave after wave of attack. Mourinho always sets up, just don't concede first. So I think we'll give Tottenham a game, and there's every possibility we can get something out of that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think here too. If we bring in that the kind of performance that we've had both with Liverpool and then today, even if we lose any of those games, we're going to be right with them to the very end, especially with the personnel that we still have on that field. So I'm very confident going forward, and I've kind of come around. I think I'm fairly positive that we're going to stay up this season
more. I'm more positive than I was a couple of weeks ago, or not even, like 10 days ago, a week and a half ago. After the City game, I was really, I was strongly thinking that we're going to go down. But I'm more positive now than I was then, for sure. I'm not as strongly as you are. Like I've been around too long, Chris, as a West Ham fan, and there's still a lot of football to be played. But certainly there's a lot more to be optimistic about as regards our survival. But let's not forget, Watford beat Liverpool 3-0 today. Bournemouth got a 2-2 with Chelsea. Norwich, Norwich had a great win. So these teams down there, Chris, they're going to fight to the death.
Yeah.
They're going to give it everything, to try and survive, and they will win some games, and they will pick up points along the way. And we can't take anything for granted.
No.
So today is just a good first step and a positive first step. But like I say, Moyes has to hold his nerve now to the end of the season. He's got to stay positive, keep playing these players that he put out there today, keep going for the wins, trying to score goals. And we definitely have enough about us to pull clear of the relegation zone. I would say we definitely have a better team than Norwich. We have a better team than Villa. I think we have a better team than Bournemouth. There's some teams down there, we're definitely better than them. So if we can continue to push, stay positive, I suspect as well that we'll be okay. But I just don't want to take anything for granted right now, because you never quite know with Moyes. We'll talk about this next Saturday after the game, because I want to kind of keep my powder dry a little bit until I see how he approaches a game like Arsenal away.
Yeah.
Will he stay positive, or will he lose his nerve a little bit and get a bit defensive?
I mean, that's very fair, because we have the last before today, the last two is we're both away to the Premier League leaders, and we played two different styles, two different personnel sets, and two different mindsets. So that's actually a very valid point. I still think we will. If nothing else, is because there's three worse teams than us. There has to be three worse teams. So
There is, if we keep doing what we've been doing these last two games, particularly today. We keep doing that, I think we'll be all right. I'm just not quite ready to trust Moyes to hold his nerve. Like I say, we'll know more with how he sets up away to Arsenal next week. If he sends that team out from today, if he puts that team out against Arsenal away, then I'll be much more positive, regardless of the result. I'll be much more positive that okay, he realizes now that we have to go for it in every game. He's not going to get negative depending on who we're playing, and I think I'll allow myself to be optimistic that we'll be okay.
yeah, I'm gonna bring up really quickly what Tony just brought up about Brighton. I didn't
Yeah,
realize Brighton they haven't won any in the last five. Three draws though, and in essence we've almost pulled even with them on points total. So I mean, if you chuck even them into the mix, I mean that's five teams alongside us that are right in there that we're probably better than. So I mean, on paper we should stay up like 10 times out. Obviously, the game's not played on paper.
yeah. So who was that comment by?
Tony Pearson.
Yeah, Tony. I think Tony's spot on there. I was watching Brighton's game with Palace today, and you can see why Brighton are struggling, and I think they'll get dragged down into it too. Brighton, box to box, play some really nice stuff. They got some good players. They're easy on the eye a lot of the time. They're good to watch. And so the big problem they had, you can see today, they just cannot put the ball in the net.
Which is what we struggled with. It's exactly what we struggled with.
Yeah, they had so many chances today to score and didn't take any of them. They honestly, Chris, they should have been out of sight of Palace. Brighton were much the better team. And then, weirdly enough, I tweeted about it well into the second half. About how they'd wasted so many chances and that they should be out of sight. And I said they'll be sickened if Palace go and nick this. And literally 5 minutes later, after I tweeted it, they scored. Palace scored. Went 1-0 up, and I thought, yeah, there you go. This is what happens when you don't put teams away. So Brighton will get dragged in because they don't score goals. And I think actually that's our greatest strength, is that we have got firepower. And if you're going to drag yourself out from that relegation zone, you're going to need firepower. And we've definitely got more firepower than anybody else down there, especially now with Bowen in the side.
That's a very good point from Jay here. Even though they can't score goals, they managed to put three past us.
Yeah, there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
We sat back and invited them to come and score.
Yep.
So any team will score past you if you sit back and say, right, come on then. Because they're just peppering your penalty area. The things will happen for them. So that was a horrendous defensive tactical mistake by Moyes when we were 3-1 up. He had the chance to push on and put that game to bed, and he went completely negative and decided to try and sit on the lead. So, but anyone who watched Brighton today, like Maupay had, I don't know how many chances. Maupay could have had a hat-trick today and just fluffed every single one of them. They only brought Glenn Murray on for the last 10 minutes, which seemed a bit strange considering that they were so wasteful in front of goal. I thought you might have brought him on earlier because he is the one player they have that might find you a goal. But anyway, that's Brighton's problem. I think as I said, firepower is key here, and we do have the firepower now with Bowen in there as well, and Bowen clearly is going to score some goals for us.
So we have to go back real quick because we just horribly overlooked something that happened in this match today. We were talking about how Fornal played incredible, Bowen played incredible, Allaire played incredible. We have to also talk about Ngakia. I mean, the 19-year-old right back who has now stood up with just about everyone and it looks like it's his spot to lose now.
Yeah, there's no question. He has to be our number one right back. Now, look, we don't know with Moyes. We'll see what happens when Fredericks is available, if and when he's available. But I don't think that's going to be anytime soon. But I would hope now that he sees Ngakia as his number one at right back at another very solid game today.
Yeah.
He's clearly not out of his depth. Two great games against Liverpool, another really, really good game today against Southampton. It's the old adage, Chris, if you're good enough, you're old enough. So,
yeah, I mean, it was the exact same kind of situation with Declan Rice. And today he had his 100th Premier League appearance. And I can't, is he 20 or 21 now? Because
21, I think.
Yeah. I
think
21 years old and he's already got 100 appearances. Mark Noble is 32 and he's got around 450. I mean, that's crazy levels of just confidence in him. And it just shows that if, like you said, if you are good enough, it doesn't matter your age.
No, I think Noble made his debut was like 17. So yeah, and here's the thing, Ngakia has a lot of ability. And like I say, I would consider him our number one right back at this point. But here's the thing, look, he's still a teenager, and people need to remember, and I think Moyes, needs to remember he will make mistakes. He's not going to be great every game. And Ngakia will have a game, maybe it comes next week where he makes a bad error. Maybe it costs us a goal, and the thing is, when that happens, and it will happen because he's a teenager and he's still inexperienced, you do not drop him. You let him make the mistakes he's going to make, because the more games he plays, the faster he'll gain the experience he needs. And like you mentioned, Rice, we did the right thing with Rice. Just put him in there, keep putting him in there. Yes, he'll make mistakes, keep putting him in there. And I hope we do the same with Ngakia. And if he does make a couple of mistakes, I know the fans are brilliant with young academy players, and we always allow them to grow. And we always accept that there's mistakes in them because they're inexperienced. So, but I hope the manager will take the same tack with Ngakia.
Yeah, I saw Sam talking about it in the comments as well. If there is one thing I want Ngakia to improve on, is throw-ins. I was like, oh boy, this is like, at times I was just thinking this is rough.
But yeah, I know.
If that's all you have to improve on, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, look, I'm sure the coach and staff can sort out his throw-ins.
Also, I want to apologize for everyone for, like, if I'm looking around a good bit. If for those of you who haven't noticed, I am not in my normal surroundings in terms of the background. I'm actually currently at home for spring break, and I'm in my basement, and somehow a cat got down here, even though the door is closed. So I've had to keep an eye on him.
Fair enough.
I apologize.
I want to actually go through some of the performances today, because I thought all round it was really good. I thought Ogbonna was outstanding.
Yeah, absolutely. We always end up overlooking Ogbonna and Diop, and it's just because, like, we don't need to talk about them because they've just done so well consistently.
Yeah, it's not as sexy as scoring goals and getting assists,
But has a great game defensively and puts one past Liverpool.
Yeah, I thought Diop and Ogbonna were really solid today. Did a great job. No, both the fullbacks did as well. I thought that whole back line was really good. But I think we've spoken kind of a lot about Bowen and Fornells and Antonio and Haller, and we all know how well they did. But you have to give props. Defending is an art form too, and it's just as important. So I thought Diop and Ogbonna were absolutely brilliant today. They just kept almost everything out. Ogbonna particularly, I thought.
the goal that Southampton did score, I mean, that was that. I mean, you really can't be too mad about that. That was just a beautiful. That was just beautifully worked. I don't care as much if we give up one as long as we get the win. Personally,
Yeah, there was no particular major error committed by anyone for their goal. I thought it was actually really good build-up play by them. They worked it very well, I thought. Um, and it was a neat finish. The Fabianski just couldn't get there. So no fault, no blame on him either. So look, it's one of those things. It's the Premier League. It's tough. You're going to concede some goals.
yeah,
But as long as you're not gifting them, as long as the opposition are having to, play really well
they fought and
to score one.
they fought and they had and they basically deserved it on that attack. So I mean, you can fault them in terms of just obviously we wish they wouldn't have scored. We wish we could have kept the clean sheet, but at the end of the day, we still got the win. So it really doesn't bother me that much.
Yeah, and it's the good thing for me is how much stock I put in centre back pairings.
Yeah,
I think they're hugely important that you have a really good centre back pairing and that they play a lot together and they come to understand each other. And it's great for me now to see that Ogbonna and Diop have another 90 minutes playing together side by side under their belts. That will only do them good. And particularly Diop because he's young and has made some mistakes. And so, I think it's important to stick with him. With Diop.
The pass back to Fabianski that he shot in the air, which could have ended up being an own goal if Fabianski didn't get his leg to it. So, I mean, yeah, he's got his own little things. He's got moments where he needs to work on rather, but I mean, overall, I mean, he's still playing phenomenally.
Yeah, like I say, look, it's the same thing I said with Ngakia. You have to remember Diop is still young. And the Premier League is tough, and being a centre back in the Premier League is tough. It's very demanding. So we had a lot of patience with Declan Rice when he made mistakes, and we will have a lot of patience with Ngakia when he makes mistakes, and he will, because they're academy graduates, and so they get a lot of latitude from fans. And I would really ask West Ham fans to give that same latitude to Diop and not forget he's a young player too in a very demanding position. And yes, he'll make some mistakes, and we have to let him make them. And he will continue to grow and grow and grow. He'll get better and better and better. He'll make less and less and less mistakes as time goes on. And that centre-back pairing between him and Ogbonna will improve continually and become very, very solid.
Yeah, and I think that was always one of the issues earlier in the season. The number of times that we would swap one of them in or out or both different positions or different partnerships, and the chemistry wasn't allowed to build. And now it's finally there. It's you can tell that they've been playing together for a while and they know each other. They know how each other play, and it just benefits each other.
You can go back through the history of the game and talk about centre backs, and you could rattle off pairing after pairing after pairing that are world-renowned centre back pairings. The whole history of the game is replete with them. It's a hugely important thing to get that pairing right. And I think Ogbonna and Diop looked fantastic today as a pairing. Yes. And I think they'll improve over time as long as you just leave them both in there. Even if Diop makes a mistake, don't go benching him, because he made a mistake and maybe we conceded a goal. You put your arm around him and you work with him in training. You put your arm around him, you tell him you believe in him, put that behind you, you learn from it, and you give whatever lessons you need to give on the training ground to try and make sure he cuts that stuff out. But you put your confidence in him, and that's how he'll grow. And he won't get all up in his head about these mistakes because, oh shit, now I'm on the bench because I made a mistake. And then the next time he gets put in and gets a chance, he's still up in his head thinking, shit, I hope I don't make a mistake. And it just it doesn't help anybody.
Yeah. I do want to talk about a little bit about this because everyone's been talking about it in the chat. Mark Noble, both how he played today and what his kind of spot on the team is moving forward. I want to get your opinion on that.
Yeah, I thought he did okay today. I don't think he was necessarily one of the better performers today, but then we did have some really top performances. So I thought Noble did what he needed to do. Certainly wasn't a liability. I thought he was a kind of a solid 7. He's experienced, which always helps. Experience can get you a long way in a game. But yeah, I think he did okay. Obviously, if Soucek was fit, I would have him in there instead of Noble. And I was a bit worried going into the game today because this is Noble's 3rd game in 10 days. So I was actually happy that he was just fairly solid. Couldn't have expected much more than that from him today, really, to be honest. But I think to answer the second part of your question, going forward, he's going to be a bench player. And I don't mean like next season. I mean when Soucek gets back.
Yeah.
Hopefully in a couple of weeks. I think Noble sits on the bench, and I think you get Soucek in beside Rice. There's no question that's the better pairing.
I agree incredibly with you.
We've flogged really we've flogged as much as we can get out of Noble as a starter, I think. And so I think Noble, I think probably be quite happy to come off the bench in games.
Yeah, I think that personally, I think that he's going to end up being a rotation player. He'll come in at halftime or late in the matches when you need a little bit more defensive structure.
He'll be there as well as cover for suspensions or injuries or
Check or Rice needs a game just because they're exhausted. Then he can fill the gap because that's what I think. That's his role his role will be until he decides to hang his boots up.
Yeah, he's just a squad player now for me, and he shouldn't still be starting every game. That's a crazy situation. Okay, granted, Soucek got injured, which is unfortunate, but actually in the team I put out, I had Snoddy in his place. I would have liked to have seen Snoddy start beside Rice today.
Yeah.
Snoddy brings a lot. Snoddy will still do all the things Noble's doing. He'll still run his socks off. He'll put the tackles in. He'll help out defensively. But what Snoddy gives you that Noble doesn't is those deliveries.
Yeah.
From set pieces or just getting crosses in, delivering balls. We don't have anyone better than Snoddy for that stuff. So I would have started Snoddy where Noble was today.
Well, and then let's answer this question because I've seen Jay ask it a few times. Do you think it's Noble's last season? Will they sell him? Will he retire after this season, or will he stick around?
No, certainly won't sell him. I mean, that would be unthinkable.
I had to put that option in there because you know what?
Yeah. No, he'll never be sold, and rightly so. I'd be fuming if they suggested it.
Even if he's not starting anymore, or he doesn't get a match anymore, really at all, if the club were to sell him, I think the London Stadium would be torn down.
we rip it. I would fly to London to help people rip it apart. No, he won't be sold. I don't believe he'll retire at the end of this season. I think he'll be a squad player next season. Coming off the bench, covering for injuries and suspensions, playing the odd game, maybe some cup games or whatever. So a big part player next season, but still in the squad, still with us.
Because we still need leadership. We really do. I mean, especially if we're injecting more and more youth into the squad, we're going to need that kind of veteran who knows the club, who knows the fans, who knows what it means to fight for West Ham.
Yeah, I mean, let's not pretend Noble has nothing to offer. I don't want to feel like we're slating Noble because we don't want him starting. Nothing could be further from the truth. Love the guy. I'm old enough to remember his debut, so, and he's been with the club ever since. So, I'm certainly not slating the guy. Love Noble. He's West Ham through and through. Came through the academy. He, grew up as a little boy supporting West Ham. So, it's in his blood. So, Love the guy. So not slating him just because I think he shouldn't be starting anymore. So he'll never be sold. He will retire when he's ready to retire, um, and that's exactly as it should be. And then when he retires, if he wants a job at the club and the coaching staff, he gets that too.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that one as well. And then to follow that up, then question from Foshizi: who would you have as captain if Nobles was benched? I'm going to make it a little bit more challenging because I think I'd know your answer. Who besides Rice?
Um, if it's not going to be Rice, I would say Ogbonna.
It's a good shout.
I know some people will say Fabianski. I hate giving the captaincy to keepers. I don't think keepers have any business being captains.
Fabianski as well, but yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah, I hate keepers being captains. I don't think keepers have any business being captains of teams. I think there has to be an outfield player. Ogbonna's been with us a long time. He's served the club very, very well. He's very experienced, been around the club a long time, so he commands huge respect from all the players. He's a senior player. No, I know you said not to say Rice. No, I have no problem with Rice having it, but I think that the best captains are senior players who command respect from everybody in the dressing room and on the training ground and on the pitch. And there's no question Ogbonna commands that respect. When people listen to Ogbonna when he speaks, and he'd deserve it too. He's been a very good servant over the last number of years for us, and he's still an excellent centre back. And putting in great performance. And at the moment, for me, still hammer of the year.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. For me personally, besides Ogbonna, the only other two people that I can really think of, or that I could think of at first, I'm going to come back to it, is either Cresswell or Antonio. Both have been there. Both have been in West Ham for at least a few years. And I mean, Antonio especially, he is one of those, like you said, that demands respect. But as Jay also said, Souček has held the captaincy for his technically parent club right now. And another one that's also overlooked a lot, Diop, when we bought him, was the captain for his club, even when he was only 20.
Diop's too young, and Souček's only just walked through the door.
Yeah, no, I get
give them the captaincy.
But in essence, if you have Souček and Noble on it at the same time, you have three captains on the field, or those who have held captaincy positions.
Yeah, look, the captaincy. You need to give it to the right person, obviously, for the reasons I just stated. You keep the club long.
Very valid point, Vernon.
And it's going to be starting week in, week out. But listen, captaincy is great now. Whoever's wearing the armband, yes, you lead out the team and whatever. I'm not overly pushed about it. I mean, just because this guy has the armband doesn't stop other players being leaders on the pitch.
I agree with you.
Listen, Rice beside Noble all the time, right beside Noble. Noble is the captain, Mr. West Ham, and Rice is a greater leader on the pitch than Noble is. They're up when it's down. We all remember that run, City.
Yes.
We were all sitting back. We were playing horribly. He made a long bursting run up the pitch. I think he beat about 3 City players just out of pure sheer kind of force of will, and swung across into the box, which almost created an opportunity for us. And that's the leadership. So whoever has the armband is fine, but it doesn't stop Souček being a leader still. It doesn't stop Rice being a leader and being an inspiration to the team. So it doesn't detract from any of that. So I don't get too caught up in the whole captain's armband.
No, I agree with you for sure on that. But listen here, we're actually quickly approaching the hour mark here, so I think we should start wrapping this up. This was definitely a very more pleasant show today. A little bit more positive. First win in the books for you and I in terms of doing the show. First win in almost
and more importantly, Chris, let's not forget Bowen's debut, first start, and his first goal. The first of many. Mark it. First of many. Calling it. This guy's going to score lots of goals for us, no question.
Yes, I think it is the beginning of a very nice goal-scoring account for Mr. Jared Bowen, or as you have renamed yourself already, Bowen the Goat.
Yeah, that's it. I look forward to it.
Alrighty, everyone. Well, I want to thank everyone for joining us in the chat today. Sorry for those. I know Jess just showed up. Apologize. We just unfortunate timing, I guess. But
turn on your notifications, Jess. Turn on your YouTube notifications.
There you go.
You'll get 30. You'll get a 30-minute heads up.
But we look to Arsenal next week. Hopefully, we can take the fight to them. Hopefully, we can get
absolutely.
And let's push on. Let's not just survive. Let's actually end up having a decent season. Let's say. So, as always, my name's Chris. If you want to follow me, my Twitter account's down below. As always, I'm joined with Irish Tommy. See you guys next week. Come on, you Irons.
Come on, you Irons.